This is We the Sales Engineers podcast, show 3.
Welcome to We the SEs podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramsey Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I hope you're doing well. I am your host, Ramsey Majaba. I'm a sales specialist or solution specialist out of Ottawa, Canada. And I love talking about sales engineering, in case you're not aware, after 324 episodes. So, one of the questions that I get quite often is, what does a good SE look like? And it's very hard to describe what a good SE looks like. And it's even, well, it may be easier to explain what a great SE or an excellent SE or the best SEs look like. But a good SE, it's complicated. Because you could be a good SE and lack some social skills, or a good SE and lack some technical skills, but you can't be a great SE and lack anything. So, and if you really want to have, or this is what we're going to talk about today, like what it looks like to be a great SE, and I'm going to talk about it through an evaluation form that I've created. But more importantly, if you want to know what a good SE looks like, you should read some books about sales and solution engineering. Mastering Technical Sales would be great. And also, The 6 Habits of Highly Effective Sales Engineers is also great. And the reason I'm picking these two over other books that focus on demo or anything else is because they have a more of a holistic view. You can be great at demoing and not be a good SE. And you can be, well, it'll be very difficult to be great at discovery and not be a good SE. But you can be great at discovery and asking questions and then suck at actually performing a demo. So yeah, I guess that's possible. But those two books, Mastering Technical Sales and The 6 Habits from John Kerr and Chris White, I think they will give you a great idea. Now, I'm going to share my screen. This is the first time I've done this on the podcast. And by the way, I have some news that I want to share at the end. It's bittersweet. I'll share it at the end of the podcast. Just want to let you know now, so I can hook you and you can stay on and watch the whole thing or listen to the whole thing. So I'm going to share my screen. For those of you listening, I will not be sharing it for long, and I'll explain what I'm sharing. And for those of you watching, you get to see it. So I'm sharing an Excel spreadsheet, and this is what I use for evaluation of SEs. And if you want a copy, you can just email me and ask me for one. Right? I'm happy to share this. And actually, I'll leave a link to this in the show notes, and I'll leave a link to this in the YouTube description, so you can just use it if you choose to. Now, what am I doing here? This is an evaluation form, and I'm using an evaluation form to explain what I think is a good SE or a great SE, because if you get all A's on an evaluation form, that usually means you're a great SE. And I've broken down the evaluation into 7 sections. First off is working with SEs, because I think that can make or break your career. Working with account managers or account executives, because that can make or break your career. As if you don't know how to work well with an account manager, they can make your life miserable by going and basically they could either tell the truth that you're not a good SE, or tell lies that you're not a good SE to your manager, and they'll come back to you. So they can make your life hell. And then discovery is the second most important part for solution engineering. The usual customer demo, proof of value, proposal and negotiation. And I know some of you may be thinking, like, what does the SE have to do with proposal or negotiation? Well, that's what would make, that's how you can tell if someone's good or bad. SE, there's another section here, which is the technical know-how, which is important for all SEs. Maybe I shouldn't be merging cells right now in the middle of me talking to you, but yeah, let's get it done. All right, I just don't. This is green. I don't want it green. Anywho, yellow and 14 bold. All right. technical know-how, customer relations, and leadership. And I will discuss leadership a little bit later. So these are the 5 sections. I'm going to stop sharing for now. Again, you want access to it, just let me know or click the links below in the show notes. This is show 324, so wetheSalesEngineers.com/324, or the YouTube video where you're watching this or seeing this. So, what does a great SE look like? Initially, the first thing they have to do is work with account managers. And when you start off as a brand new SE, you're not working with account managers, you're just doing what account managers tell you to do. But as you get better, you're going to work with them in different ways. And the different parts of working with account managers is like you work with them to qualify deals, you're working with them to do on discovery calls, demos, and all that. So I might not go through every single one because you have access to the document. But let's talk about qualifying deals. And again, many people say, oh, it's not the SE's job to qualify deals. I've talked about this in the past. I've talked about it on Chris White's LinkedIn Live. Sometimes it's in your best interest to help the account manager qualify deals, especially if you're a traveling SE. So if you have to fly from New York to Texas, you might want to make sure that the deal is qualified. So we want to support the AE. We don't. The worst thing we could do in terms of building relationship with AEs is say no. So if someone comes to you and say, hey, can you jump on a phone? Can you jump on a call? Or can you travel to this place to work on this opportunity with this customer? We need to make sure the deal is qualified. And the best way to make sure the deal is qualified is actually helping the account manager with whatever information they need to qualify the deal for you. A lot of times, so if you want to talk about like the best SE for doing that, is we provide them documentation, questionnaire, or here's the information I need to know before I jump on a call. And then you jump on the call. And the worst thing that I've seen SEs do is just either say no with no alternative or jump on the call blind. And there are things in between, like asking some technical questions, but not really digging into a lot of stuff. Now, in the self-evaluation form, you would put your own self-score as an individual contributor. And if you're a manager, there's a manager score as well. And then the goal is to identify why that was the score that you've put. Like if I'm an SE and I say I'm a 5, this is why. Or I say I'm a 5 and I can't say why, then maybe I'm not a 5. So I have to justify, I have to understand why I'm not a 5. Because there's 5 options, 1 through 5. 1 being like you're not very good at this. And then your current score, or how can you get your current score, move it up by 1. So if you're at 3, how can you get to 4? And that'll help you brainstorm ideas. And then the manager score would be there. And the manager score is going to be different. Some SEs think they're better than they actually are, and some SEs think that they're worse. Managers, they don't see everything the SE does, so they might actually have a different view. And that way you can start a conversation. I don't think it should be offensive. Like if you and the manager score are not the same, or if you as a manager have a different score than the SE, it's not they're oblivious to the world. It's just they have different views of things. You don't see everything they do, and maybe they're doing a lot more than you think. But that's a good time to have a conversation about why that's the score. And also, as an SE manager, you get the chance to figure out, like, all right, this is a senior SE, what target should they be at? And also, what's the importance level for the team? So if you have a team of 5 and all of them are great at demos and all of them suck at discovery and suck at proof of concept, then maybe someone should be working on discovery, someone should be working on proof of concept. And these are like just a basic example. You shouldn't suck at a discovery. These are basic skills SEs should have. But I've talked to CROs who, until we talked about this, didn't know that their SEs didn't know how to do discovery or didn't know how to pivot in a demo, etc. So you get to build a plan for your team. So if someone's good at customer demo and someone's good at a proof of concept, you have a more balanced team than everyone being good at demo and everyone sucking at a proof of concept or a proof of value. And then you have the discovery calls. I was just on Chris White's mastermind, the 6 Habits mastermind, and one of the things that came up was people treated a discovery call. Actually, that was like someone else said that, but my experience as well. Like, I'm just there to be a Wikipedia page or a data sheet. I'm just sitting there until I'm asked a question, and when I'm asked a question, I answer the question. If I'm not asked the question, I'll just leave after I'm done. I have no questions, and that's the worst part of discovery. But when working with an account manager, the worst thing you can do in a discovery is start interrupting the account manager. So a good SE would be someone who works with the account manager. Like I will wait for the account manager to talk about what they want to talk about, and then I'll say what I want. The great SEs, they can lead a discovery call on their own, but when they're working with an account executive, it sounds like they're one person. Like it sounds like they're completing each other's sentences. They're asking if the account manager is going down a rabbit hole or going down a path. A great SE would jump in with questions to help finish that path, to lead further down the path to get the information that the account manager is looking for. And a bad SE would ask a question that will take them completely out of the path, and that's happened to me on several occasions where I'm taking my customer down a path because I'm trying to understand something, which will help me then help them. And the SE would jump in because they latched onto a word and just take us all out of that path. And then I have to come back and try to work it back in. So that's not great. Demos, again, AEs and SEs should be working together in perfect harmony. And this could be an SE's fault or an AE's fault, but an AE can sit at a demo and just start typing on their computer and writing emails to other customers. And a great SE will get the AE involved in a way. Proof of concept management, again, all of these. So proof of concept, proposal, and negotiation. So there's communication. When we're talking about proof of concept management, the SE is managing the actual like day-to-day activities, where the AE might be managing the whole thing, the whole project. Like he's an overviewer of the project. He may not know what's going on. Like, hey, I installed this thing on VMware today, or I installed our software on VMware, or I created a AWS account for this. They don't care about that, but they need to know everything that's happening in terms of, hey, something bad has happened here. I tried to install this, and then there was some errors between our system and their system, which can then cause harm in terms of selling the product. So the AE needs to be always aware of all these different things, and the communication between them should be there. In terms of proposal and negotiation, what does an SE have to do with proposal? The SE is basically building the proposal. At least they're building the bill of material, and when you have a bill of material, you might have a lot of different products. They have to explain to the AE why these products are important and how they can defend it. So that's fairly important. And communication, that, well, I don't know if I need to say more than that. Like, SEs and AEs need to always be on the same page, and they need to know what their goal is, and what the SE is going to do, and what the AE is going to do in order to achieve that goal, and where they are in terms of working on those. So, yeah, that is working with AEs. Then when we talk about what a great SE looks like in terms of discovery, I've broken that down into 3 different spots. It's the discovery prep, the meeting, and the post-discovery follow-up. I've worked with many experienced SEs who don't prep anything for a discovery call because they already know the product very well. And they might know the personas that they've worked with. But you need a lot of time to get there, and even at that point, you also need to just have you need to have stories prepared. You need to have vision building questions prepared. You may already have assumptions, but you need to be able to ask the questions to confirm those. And if you keep having new products and new features and new functions, you don't know anything about those. Like, as a SE who's been doing this for, I don't know, let's say 15 years, if you've been working on something for 15 years and now they add a new feature, you might have an idea what the feature does, but you don't really have stories, or you might not have a hypothesis about the customer's problem that could help. So you need to prep in that area. And bad SEs don't prep. They just show up blind and they figure it out. And this is specifically true for generalist SEs as well, because generalist SEs are mile wide, inch deep. If they're meeting a customer for problem, like they're an expert in problem A, because let's say they're a mile deep in problem A, but they're an inch deep in problem B. They don't prep for problem B, and then they show up to a call, and they were under the assumption that we're going to talk about problem A. It turns out we're talking about problem B, and the whole thing is just out of whack. And people say, "Oh, that doesn't happen." It does happen. It happens often. I've seen it happen. I've talked to people who've seen it happen. A lot of salespeople frustration is because of that. Like, the SE's job is to know stuff, and they don't know anything. So why do I even have an SE? I'm just going to bypass that SE directly and go to the expert. And they bring in either a specialist or the product manager, and now there's just too much tension, and it's just a lot of work. Then in the meeting, we're able to fully understand the customer's business problem, the customer's technical problem, the customer's personal problems, if we can, and earn the right for the next meeting. When you do so, on also Chris White's LinkedIn live, someone commented that if you do a discovery properly, the demo will write itself. If you do a discovery properly, you'll be able to write the script for the demo. And also understanding that every meeting is a discovery call usually helps. Bad meetings, again, bad discovery calls are where an SE just shows up as a Wikipedia. It's like, I'm here to support my AE with whatever they need, but I'm not here to participate in order to get better results. And then post-meeting follow-up. A lot of SEs just send emails there. Like, hey, thank you for meeting us today. This is the topic we discussed. These are links to some of the things we discussed. The great SEs that I know, and not many people do this, this is something that I've been doing, or I learned how to do, is I want to send an email that my customer is able to simply click forward and forward it to their teammates, forward it to their manager, or whoever it is that they need to forward to, and the email will sell the product. A lot of times we send this information to the customer, and we depend on the customer to translate to their colleagues, translate to their management team. And that's why a good discovery and a good prep are important for a follow-up. Because if we don't do a good discovery, like who else is involved in this, who else is going to be affected, we will not be able to figure out who should we target in terms of our email. So that's what I broke down the demo. And then you have the discovery. And then you have the demo. There's a lot of different things we could look at a demo. I mean, Kerry Sokolsky, who is now part of like Chris White's team, he has his own, I don't know if he still does it, but you might want to check, his own service where he just critiques demos, and he has 160 points of demos to critique. I've broken it down into like 5 sections. Demo prep, did we solve the business problem? Did you address the technical audience? How was the flow? How was the performance? And how was the conclusion? So I broke it down into these parts. And demo prep, it's like, okay, did you prepare for the demo? Did you try it out with with your, like, the complete flow? Did you rehearse it with your account manager so that the account manager can come back and say, like, hey, can you show them this part, or can you speak about that? Which I actually saw an SE manager do to their SE recently, but it worked out well because the SE was fairly technical and knew that part. So for demo prep, you need to build a great SE builds the demo based on the business problem, not just the technical problem, and builds it based on the audience that he's talking to or she's talking to, and then practices it fully. Practices it in front of the mirror, practices it in front of Zoom, practices it in front of the account manager or other SEs, especially early on in their career. But at a minimum, you have to do it in front of your account manager so they know what you're talking about, and so they don't jump in and just throw you under the bus. Then you have solve business problem. Like, did the demo solve the business problem, or highlight how you can solve the business problem? Did you help them build the vision, how they can make their lives better? Did you address the technical audience issues? Because sometimes you have, like, the CFO who cares the most if this thing is gonna return an ROI. But if you're talking about, let's say, a Salesforce, how is that going to integrate into their IT, and how much work is it going to be for their IT people? So you might need to answer some technical questions there. So you need to address the audience, the business audience, as well as the technical audience. How was the flow? Was it boring? Did you do like the death by 1,000 clicks, which one of my guests talked about a couple weeks ago? Was it choppy? Did you use the accordion method, which is basically something Brian Geary told me about, where you can build a demo that could be an hour and a half long, but you build it in such a way that if you can remove sections and bring it down to half hour, if that's all you have time. But then if you're asked questions and you need to expand it, you can then expand it, like an accordion. And how was the performance? Was it monotone? Was it boring? Did you ask questions? Were they laughing? Right. For me, I find my most successful demos is when my customer's laughing, because then they're enjoying the demo. They're not sitting through a demo. They're actively engaging through a demo. And then the meeting conclusions. Did everybody agree to next steps that are useful next steps? Not the next steps like, hey, talk to me in 6 months. So that's the customer demo. The proof of value. Proof of value is where deals go to die, in my humble opinion. So you need to manage it properly. And as a great SE, you're going to have to create proof of value plans, and then you're going to have to manage the proof of value and communicate with your account manager about these. Proposals and negotiations. Again, this is where some SEs talk about, like, hey, what do I have to do with this? Well, for one, are you building accurate bill of materials? Are you forgetting a SKU? Or do you often forget a SKU? Or are they always the right bill of material? Have you ever been in a situation where you sold something and 3 months later you get an email back saying, hey, this part that we discussed is not really working, and then you look at it and say, I didn't sell that license, or I didn't sell that product. I forgot about this. So are you building, like, mistakes happen, but how often does it happen? Right? And also, when it comes to negotiation, most people think that negotiation happens after the demo or after the proof of concept. But I've said this multiple times, and you might be getting bored of me saying it. An SE is negotiating every time they open their mouth. They're either adding value or removing value from the deal. So if you're an SE and you're showing throughout the discovery call, throughout the demo, like, this is the ROI, or you're asking questions about ROI, you're asking questions about, like, how is this going to save you? How is this going to help you as an individual contributor? How is it going to help your boss? These are all ammunition that your account manager can then use in the negotiation. You might not be negotiating. You might not be saying, like, oh, the price is X amount and that's it. But because the information you collected, your account manager say, your ROI is this, and you're penny pinching on that. What's the point? So that's where an SE comes into mind. And if you're an SE manager and you're not training your SEs to do this, then that's something you need to look at. Technical know-how. I broke it down into two parts, but I think we're all familiar with this. Like you have product knowledge and you have industry knowledge. Sherry Maza came on the show a while back and talked about insight selling. Insight selling comes from industry knowledge. Right? Am I able to share or guide the customer about what's going on in the industry, about what's going to be in the future? So that's all insight selling. And product knowledge is understanding the product, knowing the features, knowing your competitors' products as well. And feature A is comparable to feature B. We have feature C. They don't have feature D, or they don't have it. This is all information that you might need. And we're down to the last two sections, which are customer relations and leadership. Many SEs that are in pool models might have a hard time building relationships, but it's imperative to still be able to build relationships even in a short period of time. It might not be the best, like I might not be able to know my customer's birthday or their kid's birthday, but I might be able to figure out what activities they do or what for fun or how many kids they have. So an SE is supposed to be able to build relationships with customers quickly because you're basically telling them, you're like the doctor telling them what's wrong with them, what they did wrong, and how they can fix it. And nobody wants to hear what they did wrong from someone they don't like or don't have a relationship with. So a great SE builds relationships quickly. And also I have timeliness in here because a customer may ask a question and SE needs to be able to answer it as soon as possible. And not just that, they need to be able to answer without the account manager reminding them or without the customer reminding them about these questions. And then you have leadership. And the more senior you get, the more leadership you have to be. So even if you're not a leader, you need to have some form of leadership. And that could be through process improvement. As an SE, you need to be able to improve the process, or you could mentor other SEs. A lot of great SEs, and this is something SEs are usually good at in terms of it's knowledge sharing. Like I created a script that allows me to automate this. I'm going to share it with my SE team. So I'm not like great SEs already do this. I think most SEs are not great in terms of some of the other things that I talked about from the soft skills perspective. But that's what a great SE looks like. They're well-rounded. They're great technically. They're great with soft skills. They're able to be a standalone deal maker. Like you don't need an AE to guide you through everything. And I could say the same about great AEs. Like great AEs don't really necessarily need SEs, but if they have one, it will make them much better. So at some point, we both need each other, right? SEs don't want to negotiate, but an SE can lead a discovery call without an AE, and an AE should lead a discovery call without an SE, or should be able to negotiate without an SE, or should be able to do many things without an SE. So we should be able to work independently, but when we work together, we're so much better. So that's it. In terms of what a great SE would look like, let me know your thoughts. What do you think a great SE looks like? In terms of the bittersweet news that I talked about earlier, I've been doing the podcast for over 5 years. This is episode 324, and I need a break. I need a break. It takes a lot of work. I'm not going to go into the details. I'm going to take a break from the podcast itself because I have a lot of things going on in the background that, because I have to do the podcast, those take a backseat. But if I do them, I'm able to help a lot more people. So once I get those done, I'm probably going to be back to the podcast and we'll figure out the format, if it's every week or every 2 weeks or we'll do seasons. But for now, for the next few months and for the summer, and so that I can get to spend more time with my family this summer, because I'm recording this on a Sunday at 2 p.m. before Canada Day in Canada. So I just need some time to be able to do the things that I need to do and be able to see my family and hang out with them. But I'm still here. If you're looking for coaching, come and talk to me. If you're looking for like consulting in terms of how do I evaluate my SE team? How do I build my SE team? Is my SE team even good? You can come and talk to me as well. I would love to help. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you found it useful. The link is in the show notes and the link is on the YouTube description. And with that, I'm signing off.